No office, no boss, no 9 to 5, no salary. For over 95% of human history, nobody on this planet ever worked a job. So here's the question that's going to break your brain a little. If nobody was working, how did humans survive for hundreds of thousands of years? Today, I'm going to show you exactly what an average day looked like for early humans. And honestly, once you see it, you might start questioning if having a job was even a good idea in the first place. Let's get into it. See, when we say job, we mean something very specific. You wake up, you go somewhere, you do one task, and someone pays you money for it. That entire system is barely a few thousand years old, but modern humans have existed for around 300,000 years. So for roughly 290,000 of those years, there was no money, no companies, no careers, and yet people didn't just sit around doing nothing. They were busy every single day, just not in a way we imagine busy today. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how ancient humans spent their mornings, their afternoons, and their nights, including one surprising fact that anthropologists discovered, which shows early humans may have actually worked less than we do today. Stick around, because that part alone might change how you see your own daily grind. I've gone through actual anthropology research and studies on the few hunter-gatherer tribes still alive today, because these are basically our closest living window into how ancient humans really lived. So this isn't guesswork, this is based on real observed behavior. Let's start with morning. There was no alarm clock. Early humans woke up with the sun because their entire life was built around daylight. The very first task of the day was almost always the same: check if everyone in the group is safe. Small bands of humans, usually somewhere between 20 to 50 people, lived and slept close together for protection. Mornings were used to plan the day. Who is going hunting, who is gathering food, who is watching the children, and who is repairing tools or shelter. Nobody assigned these tasks with a schedule. It came from experience, skill, and sometimes even just who felt like doing what that day. Here's the biggest truth about ancient life. Almost everything they did connected back to one single goal: getting food. Men often went out hunting animals, which could take hours or even days, depending on the prey. Women and sometimes children usually gathered fruits, roots, nuts, and plants close to camp. And here's something wild. Research shows that gathering actually provided more calories on average than hunting did. So, in many tribes, the so-called less exciting job was actually the one keeping everyone alive. There was no fridge, no supermarket, so food had to be found almost daily. But here's the surprising part. Anthropologists studying tribes like the Hadza in Tanzania found that people only spent around 3 to 5 hours a day actually getting food. That's it. Once they had enough for the day, they simply stopped. This is the part that surprises most people. After food was handled, ancient humans had a huge amount of leftover time, and they didn't waste it. This time went into things like making tools, sharpening stones, carving spears, building fire, teaching children survival skills, storytelling around the fire which passed down history, warnings about danger, and moral lessons long before writing existed, repairing shelter or clothing made from animal skin, resting, and yes, actual napping was extremely common. Some researchers even argue that hunter-gatherers may have had more leisure time than the average modern worker, which honestly is a wild thought. Imagine working fewer hours than us 50,000 years ago. Now don't get it twisted, life wasn't relaxing. There was no job stress, but there was survival stress. Every single day carried real danger: predators, extreme weather, injuries with no hospitals, and food shortages during bad seasons. So while there was no boss, nature itself was the harshest manager of all. One wrong decision, wandering too far, missing a storm, getting injured, could be fatal. This is why community mattered so much. In a world with no jobs, your survival depended completely on your tribe. If you got hurt, others fed you. If you were skilled at something, everyone benefited from it. There was no every man for himself. Cooperation wasn't optional. It was survival. Interestingly, some early form of roles did exist, but not jobs in our sense. Someone especially good at making tools would often make them for others. Someone skilled at tracking animals would lead hunts. Elders who had decades of survival knowledge were treated almost like walking libraries, respected for wisdom, not paid a salary. This wasn't a career path. It was simply you did what you were good at for the good of the group, and the group took care of you in return. So if this lifestyle worked for hundreds of thousands of years, why did we ever create jobs? The short answer: agriculture. Around 12,000 years ago, humans started farming. Suddenly, land needed to be owned, crops needed to be stored, and communities grew bigger and more complex. That's when specialized roles, trade, and eventually work as we know it began to form. In a strange way, jobs weren't created because life got harder. They were created because human society got bigger. So next time you're stressed about deadlines, remember, for most of human history, survival didn't come with a paycheck, but it also didn't come with an inbox. If this video made you look at modern work a little differently, let me know in the comments. Would you have survived as a hunter-gatherer? And if you want to see what ancient humans actually ate in a single day, that video is right here. I'll see you there.